Penguin Random House Audio presents More Than Words: How Talking Sharpens the Mind and Shapes Our World. This is the author, Maryellen MacDonald, Ph.D. Dear listener, this audiobook includes a supplemental downloadable PDF which contains a chart of word order examples and the endnotes from the printed book, which are referred to throughout this audiobook. For Mark, and for Claudia and Ethan, my very favorite talkers. Introduction. I'm writing a book about talking, but it's not about communication. That's what I would say to people who asked what my book was going to be about. I quickly learned to sneak, "It's not about communication," into the very first sentence of my answer. If I didn't, folks would tell me about their favorite aspect of communicating and ask how I was going to cover it in my book. Maybe I would have advice about how to talk to teenagers. Was I writing about how men and women communicate differently? Was I saying that politics is now so polarized that people can't talk to each other anymore? There were some crestfallen expressions and even pushback when I said, no, the book is not about how we communicate. One person quite vehemently told me that I should toss out whatever it was that I was writing and instead produce a self-help book about how to talk better. All of these conversations made me more determined than ever to write about the hidden non-communication side of talking. Everyone knows that we talk to communicate. There's no shortage of books, podcasts, and advice columns about communicating with each other. Many of them are quite excellent. I didn't have a calling to add to this pile. But I did see a real need to tell a different story. It's about a side of talking that most people have never heard of, but which nonetheless has profound effects on all of our lives. We humans have the capacity to transform our internal ideas into something that others can perceive: speech, writing, or signing in a sign language. And sometime during childhood, most of us also begin to talk to ourselves, an internal monologue that others can't hear or see. I'm going to use talking to refer to all of these ways that we produce language: speech, sign language, writing, and internal speaking or signing to ourselves. They're not identical, but they share a key feature that is important for the theme of this book. All of these idea-to-talk transformations require serious mental effort, and our brains have figured out how to streamline the workflow of talking. The brain's strategies are brilliant and fascinating, but here we get to a twist in the story. The ways that the brain solves the challenges of talking don't just let us communicate. They also have consequences that have almost nothing to do with communication. The brain's talking routines spill over into other brain processes, changing our lives in surprising ways. Most of these side effects of our talking skills are overwhelmingly positive for us, and they're really hidden. Even scientists who study them haven't necessarily linked them to our ability to talk. That's the story I wanted to tell. The non-communicative effects of talking are a varied bunch, studied by different scientists who don't frequently interact with each other or even know that much about talking. Some of these effects show up when infants are just learning to talk. Others support our final years. Most are with us throughout our lives. Here's a sample. Within the first months of life, babies' silent, pre-talking tongue movements sharpen their ability to perceive speech and learn the language around them. From childhood onward, our talking focuses our attention and helps us stick to our goals. Talking, even internally to ourselves, modulates intense emotions and helps us cope with upsetting events. Talking helps us maintain our memory and may prevent or delay dementia. And that's just the start. If these benefits seem unrelated to one another and unrelated to talking, well, That's really my point. Focusing attention, settling emotions, and perceiving speech may seem like a random grab bag of skills because you don't know about how our talking machinery works. When I tell you about what we do in order to talk, these seemingly unrelated facts will fall into place, with talking as the glue that holds them together. In some cases, you'll see how you can be more strategic in your own talking to reap these benefits more fully. Maybe it sounds a little odd to say that I'll explain how talking works, because of course, you already know how to talk. But what you don't know is how you do it. Don't feel bad. You don't know how you talk because your brain won't let you know. Here, I'll show you what your brain does and doesn't allow you to know about talking. How do you order something at a food counter, like a cup of coffee or a sandwich? You might say that you look over the menu and then say something like, "I'll take a small coffee, and maybe one of those cookies." Perfect. Good answer, because it reveals the difference between what your brain does and doesn't let you become aware of. You consciously know certain things, like that you should approach the counter, wait your turn if necessary, settle on what you want. Maybe later you also realize you shouldn't have ordered that mealy cookie. You navigate the conversation at the food counter with ease, but you're clueless about how you do the actual talking part. How do you convert a desire for coffee into making appropriate words come out? It's just a mystery. When you want to communicate something, somehow, your brain makes it so. The brain doesn't give up its secrets easily, but scientists have figured out a lot of what's going on behind the scenes. We'll see how the brain converts an internal idea or desire into talk that others can perceive. That conversion process is fascinating all by itself, but the real payoff in this book is understanding how the idea-to-talk conversion process has important non-communicative consequences. Because the brain uses a particular routine for picking words to say, this word-picking process focuses our attention. Because these word-picking processes reflect our ideas and attitudes, analyses of our talk patterns can reveal aspects of our thinking, personality, and mental state. Because the brain uses certain procedures to arrange words in order, talking changes our language over time. Because talking is hard mental work, it helps us stay sharp in old age. When you understand the links between talking and its consequences, you'll get a deeper understanding of remarkable interconnections in our brains, linking situations as disparate as babbling babies and sports psychology. You'll understand what infants' ba-ba-ba babbling is doing for them and what you can do in return to help your baby. You'll learn the talking-based reasons why phones, tablets, and other media for infants and young children should be limited, and why you should limit your own media use around kids. You'll understand the myriad advantages of talking to yourself. Really, you can stop criticizing yourself about it, and you'll also become more alert to potential downsides of this habit. You'll know how to deploy talking to boost your learning, and how to help kids, students, and anyone else use their own talking to learn and remember better. I may be spinning some revisionist history here, but I believe I've been thinking about talking since I was a little kid. My first memory of the power of talking is from age 5. My parents, who'd spent their entire lives in Boston and New York, picked up and moved us to a small town in Texas, sight unseen. As we were getting ready to move, my father explained that people would talk more slowly in Texas. He tried to illustrate by first saying a regular example of the sentence, "Hello, little girl," in his Boston accent, followed by what he imagined to be the Texas version. It was still in his Boston accent, but slower. When we got to Texas, I wasn't struck by people talking slowly. Instead, I was overwhelmed by the utter differentness of everything coming out of people's mouths. Different sounds, different words for things.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?